All right, welcome back to the show. On this week's episode, we have a very special guest, Canadian Olympian and former Olympic gold medalist Ross Rebagliati. Ross, how are you today?
Yep, good to be here.
Thanks so much for being on the show. So, Ross, you've got this new venture that you started called Ross Gold. Can you explain a little bit about exactly what it is?
Sure, yeah. Ross Gold is a luxury boutique dispensary model, basically, and we're franchising it, across Canada in all the provinces that allow for, a private enterprise. And we've got licensing agreements with strategic LP partners so that we can get our products out to even into the government stores in those provinces. So we're looking pretty much at building out a brand that really encompasses everything that you need. Like when you walk into our store, we have all the glass that you need. We have vape pens. We also carry other brands in there as well. But yeah, it's basically a high-end cannabis experience.
Now, where did the whole idea for this company kind of originate from?
Well, of course, 20 years ago in Nagano, I tested positive for THC after my gold medal performance in the giant slalom for snowboarding. And I knew at the time that there was an opportunity there with cannabis because I'd already been using it for a number of years leading up to Nagano. But it was a matter of time, basically, where I would have to wait it out for society and for people's idea about cannabis to change before I could really implement, what my ideas were. But I had enough time to really mull it over and make sure that when I did come out with it, and it's been about 5.5 years now, and I feel like I really came up over the last 20 years through the groundswell of the cannabis movement, and I really understand it, I have a good feel for it, and our partners as well, and we feel like the craft, the small batch, keeping the quality high, at Ross Gold we have the gold standard, right? So it's all about the BC bud and keeping that craft quality.
Now, speaking a bit about cannabis use in athletics, what are your thoughts on the testing process, and should they be laxed with the upcoming legalization of it?
Oh, they should be way laxed. They should relax them completely so that there are none. But I mean, from my own experience, I can speak to how cannabis can be performance enhancing when you use it the right way. And now with the extraction capabilities that we have to be able to isolate the different compounds like CBD away from the THC, and also to make sure that there's enough THC in the CBD products for the entourage effect to work and for it to bind to your CBD receptors. And WADA taking CBD off the list of banned substances just this year is going to open those doors up more and more to the benefits of cannabis in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be a psychoactive experience for it to work. So yeah, and sports is something that cannabis has always been a part of. I remember back in the day when I first started ski racing, in the 80s, we could smell it, but we didn't know what it was as kids, but we could smell it on the chairlifts in BC. Like, what's that smell? And then you get a little older and you kind of learn what that is, but you don't really think of it. And then when I became older, around 18, 19, I started experimenting with cannabis in high school and not really using it for sports at all. Just it was more of a recreational idea at the time. There was no information on it. But as I moved up to Whistler after I graduated from high school, I ran into extreme athletes that would use cannabis all day long and for different reasons than what I expected. And then from that education, I started doing it, using it the same way myself, and found that it gave you the motivation that the days where it was hard to go to the gym, where you just take a rip from the bong, and the next thing you know, like the only thing you want to do is go work out and put the tunes on and bang out a solid workout. And I think at the end of the day, my career benefited from the motivation that cannabis gave me, not just the physiological effects, but also the psychological effects of cannabis. For athletes, winning is a losing game, right? So you have to be on top of it. You have to be able to take the lows, with the highs, and there's more lows as an athlete. And I think everyone's heard the saying, it's all 99% upstairs, right? And so I think cannabis keeps you on that even keel so that you can focus on what it is that you need to focus on when you need to focus on it, and kind of put the distractions aside, at least for the time being, whether it be your bills that you have to pay as an athlete or family or whatever it is. You can just use some cannabis and it just takes the anxiety away and makes you, gives you the ability to focus on what's important.
Now, you hit the pinnacle of any professional athlete's career, winning gold medal in the Olympic Games. But for you, was it the gold medal that was the more outstanding experience, or the whirlwind that happened afterward? Jay Leno show, international news, like.
Well, there was multiple outstanding experiences. I think that you could sew together and to have one pretty amazing life experience for sure. You know, the athletics side of it, it was a big build-up for me. You know, it was the first time, obviously, that we were at the Olympics. You know, for the sport of snowboarding, it was the first time that we had a 4-year build-up for one race, and that was a different mindset for us as well. So the enormity there wasn't lost on us, being the first time that we would go to the Olympics. So not only was there an opportunity to win a gold medal or any medal, or to even be at the Olympics at all, but to be the first in your sport, I thought that for the athletes and at the time, that was a big deal also, almost equally as big of a deal. So it was a double whammy, and I was, you know, on my game and riding well at the time, and came up with the win. And so that was short-lived, that whole like, wow, I'm such a great athlete. That only lasted for about 12 hours, and then the next morning is when I got the bad news. And by a day and a half after I got the bad news, I was also in jail in Japan. And while I was in jail, that's when I got the good news that we won in the court of arbitration after 2 lost appeals. That
So they arrested you for?
Yeah, they arrested me for importing a controlled substance into Japan. Yeah, just in my body, like in my blood.
Through your system?
Yeah, through my system. So that was a bit of an issue, and things were getting a little out of control. And then literally 24 hours or 48 hours after I got it back, they let me out of jail, and I found myself in Beverly Hills getting ready to do the Tonight Show with Jay Leno. So
did you end up getting the gold medal back, or?
Oh yeah, they gave it back that day, and yeah, so it was THC was found to not be on the list of banned substances, and I don't know why they thought it was, because they know what's on their list. But in any case, yeah, they couldn't take it away from me because there was no rule against it, and then they quickly added it to the list that summer. And then over the years, they've upped the ante on how much you're allowed to have. And just last year, they raised it 1,000%. So it's becoming more accepted. I wouldn't say accepted. I guess tolerated is probably a better word. But taking CBD off the list for WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, that's a big move. That's a big move. And to be honest, that's what most of the athletes are looking for anyway, is the CBD. I know the athletes would love to be able to use THC instead of alcohol at the end of the day, especially during the Olympics, because there is only one option at the end of the day, and that's to have a few beers. And like most human beings, and I'm speaking for everybody I know, needs to do a little something at the end of the day to relax. And cannabis is a healthy way to relax at the end of the day.
Exactly. Well, Ross, I want to thank you so much for doing this, and I wish you nothing but luck with Ross Gold.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much.